Electric passenger vehicles invented more than a century ago are now accepted as part of the solution to rising climate emissions in major markets like the United States, China, and Europe. Electric vehicles, EVs, make headlines for their ability to slash greenhouse gas emissions. Yet they also can strengthen the economy, and not just by providing a surge of new plants and jobs. The EV transition can protect the U.S. economy from recessions by reducing our oil use, which in turn reduces the U.S. vulnerability to oil price shocks. Most Americans felt the pain of higher oil prices last summer when gasoline prices shot up, hitting a national average price of $5 a gallon. High gas prices depress consumer sentiment, weaken consumption, and as a result, elevate the risk of a recession. By powering our transportation with the diversified energy sources that back the U.S. electricity grid, EVs can break the link between oil prices, geopolitical risk from the Middle East, Russia, and other major oil producers, and the health of the U.S. economy. The EV transition, a revolution that's already underway. Historically, rising oil prices have been a long-standing contributor to U.S. recessions. Crude oil prices spiked before the U.S. recessions of 1990 to 1991 and 2001, as well as the Great Recession, to say nothing of the large factor they played in the early 1970s to early 1980s. Even now, with a 60% drop in the energy intensity of the U.S. economy, U.S. oil production equaling its consumption, and the U.S. new status as a net exporter of oil and oil products in dollar terms, oil prices continue to heavily impact the economy. One reason is that the pain of higher oil prices is felt broadly by almost every household and business, while the benefits are enjoyed only narrowly by companies, workers, and communities tied to oil production. Accordingly, many countries have set ambitious targets for electric vehicle adoption. Germany, for example, aims to have 6 million electric vehicles on the road by 2030. Others have pledged to phase out the sale of internal combustion engine (ICE) vehicles entirely, among them France and the UK, by 2040, China 2035, India 2030, Norway 2025, and closer to home, the state of California 2035. The commitment of these governments to speed this transition is reflected in a host of initiatives to encourage consumers to go electric, and, less frequently, to discourage consumers from purchasing ICE vehicles. As one example, U.S. President Biden's American Jobs Plan envisioned an investment of nearly $175 billion to speed the adoption of electric vehicles through a combination of consumer subsidies, grants to build charging stations, incentives for automakers, and government EV purchases. A new World Bank report makes a strong economic case for wider adoption of electric vehicles in developing countries, with advantages that range from improved public health to less urban traffic congestion, to a decrease in dependence on expensive imported fossil fuels. Benefits of electric vehicles. One of the main reasons that consumers are increasingly interested in electric vehicles is that they offer a range of benefits over traditional gas-powered cars. Some of the key advantages of EVs include fuel. The average U.S. household spends around 1/5 of its income on transportation. An electric car can save on average $1,000 in fuel each year. The cost to fully charge a 60 kilowatt-hour, with more than 230 miles of range at home, is less than $8. Plus, energy prices are not as volatile as oil, which makes budgeting for an EV more consistent each year. Lower emissions. Because EVs run on electricity rather than gasoline or diesel, they produce fewer greenhouse gas emissions, helping to combat climate change. Maintenance. The cost to maintain an electric car, especially a battery-powered model, is generally much lower than fossil fuel-powered vehicles due to fewer moving parts. EVs have single-speed transmissions, and regenerative braking reduces wear on brakes, and they don't require oil changes. U.S. automakers are required to warranty EV batteries for a minimum of 8 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. In practice, many EV battery packs have lasted more than 200,000 miles with less than 10% degradation in power capacity. Quieter and smoother ride. Electric motors produce less noise and vibration than traditional engines, making for a quieter and smoother ride. Typically, the only regular maintenance costs you'll see are buying new windshield wipers and tires. The financial rewards can be substantial, even considering the upfront 70 to 80% cost premium compared with fossil fuel vehicles, because EVs, from two-wheeled scooters to buses, are less expensive to run and maintain. Lower maintenance costs alone can amount to a $5,000 saving over the life of the EV, outweighing the higher cost of using electricity as fuel. Because many low- and middle-income countries tax gasoline and subsidize electricity brings even greater savings. Most of the electricity used in the U.S. is produced locally, which creates and sustains jobs. Local manufacturing can benefit from EV purchases as numerous electric vehicles and EV parts are produced throughout Duke Energy's territory. EV drivers also spend less on fuel, so they have more funds to spend on other local goods. According to the International Energy Agency, there were around 2 million plug-in EVs on the road in 2019, up from just 17,000 in 2010. That's still only around 1% of all cars on the road, but the numbers are expected to keep rising. Challenges facing EVs. Despite the many advantages of electric vehicles, there are still some challenges that are holding back their widespread adoption. Some of the main challenges include range anxiety. One of the biggest concerns for consumers considering an EV is the fear that they won't be able to travel as far on a single charge as they would with a gas-powered car. Charging infrastructure. Unlike traditional gas stations, which are common and easily accessible, charging stations for EVs can be hard to find and inconvenient to use. Cost. Although the cost of EVs has been falling in recent years, they are still generally more expensive than traditional cars, making them less accessible to some consumers. Perception. Some people remain skeptical about the safety, reliability, and performance of electric vehicles, which can make them less appealing to potential buyers. The impact on the automotive industry and the economy. The shift toward electric vehicles is having a major impact on the automotive industry and the broader economy. Here are some of the key effects to consider. Disruption for traditional automakers. As the demand for EVs grows, traditional automakers that have long relied on selling gas-powered cars will need to adapt or risk becoming irrelevant. New entrants. The rise of electric vehicles has also opened the door for new companies to enter the market, including startups focused entirely on EVs. Challenges and opportunities for suppliers. As the automotive industry shifts toward EVs, suppliers that specialize in fossil fuel-powered components may need to diversify or find new markets. Environmental benefits. Electric vehicles have the potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and air pollution, which can have positive effects on public health and the environment. Jobs impact. The shift toward EVs is likely to bring both job losses and job gains, as some traditional auto jobs disappear while others are created in new areas like battery manufacturing and charging station installation. New jobs and economic growth. The EV revolution has the potential to create huge economic opportunities. Between 2020 and 2021, the number of EV jobs grew 26.2% in the United States, and a quarter of all announced global EV investments through 2030 are headed for the United States. But making the most of this rapidly expanding market will require investments at the local and federal levels, as well as intentional policies and regulations. Thankfully, there's a combined $245 billion in federal EV investment from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act. This funding is expected to spur domestic production of EVs and their batteries, as well as the construction of the nation's charging network. Altogether, this will create tens of thousands of new high-quality auto worker, construction, and electrician jobs in communities across the country. In terms of regulations, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has recently proposed federal clean car standards and clean truck standards covering semis and local delivery trucks. Batteries. The advanced batteries in electric vehicles are designed for extended life, but will wear out eventually. Several manufacturers of electric vehicles are offering 8-year or 100,000-mile battery warranties. Predictive modeling, PDF, by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory indicates that today's batteries may last 12 to 15 years in moderate climates, 8 to 12 years in extreme climates. In addition to climate, other factors impacting battery life include driving and charging patterns, battery cell chemistry and design, and the vehicle battery environment thermal system. Check with your dealer for model-specific information about battery life and warranties. Although manufacturers have not published pricing for replacement batteries, some are offering extended warranty programs with monthly fees. If the batteries need to be replaced outside the warranty, it may be a significant expense. Battery prices are expected to continue declining as battery technologies improve and production volumes increase. Electric vehicles are the future. Will its economy be stronger and stable? So what do you think? How did we do? If we missed something, please say in the comments. And if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.